Hey guys, it's Patty with Studio 12 Stencils. Wait until you see what you're going to learn today. We are going to paint this Ohio State personalized sign. You can change the state. We're going to put an embellishment in the back. We are going to show you the brush that is replacing the one we can't get currently. And super, super cool, we are going to show you how to use this really weird tool. It's a stencil tool. And we're going to make a book out of it with these little clips. So stay tuned and get ready to learn. Hi guys, I'm Patty with Studio 12, and today we are going to paint a really cool new project. This is brand new, and we're calling them the state stamp signs, and they are fabulous I'm channeling all of my sons. I have 5 sons, and they are great for guy gifts. We don't do a lot of guy things, but they can also be feminized, so it doesn't have to just be guys, but we painted a lot of examples so you can see them all in different ways. This is a weird project, so you're going to learn something really neat. I painted the inside circle after I did my distressing on the outside. And because I did that, you really struggle painting a straight circle line. So if you paint to sell or you paint a lot of projects, you're going to really love a new tool that I've got, and I'm going to show that to you now. So in order to get this band on there correctly, what we have made is we have made this lovely tool that is a banding stencil. And when you line it up, it has 6 parts. And when you line it up with the right width and the right position, I've got this one taped and marked, then it makes the perfect band to go around your project clocks, any kind of circle, anything. We've got banding stencils that are also straight. Before we start though, I want to talk to you about giveaways, because that's why we're here, is to have fun painting. Stencil fans, you're going to love this today. We have a new set of dome brushes. The purple handled ones are fabulous. They're my favorites. However, they are consistently out of stock. They come from overseas and you can't get them all the time. The green handled ones are a little bit easier to get, and they're a little bit cheaper. The fur falls out just a little bit more than it does on the other ones, but they work the exact same way. And these are what I used before they made the purple ones. So these are great, and they're a good substitution. If you're building your collection, it's a good thing to do. So we're gonna give away 2 sets of these this morning at noon, and then tonight at 9. So make sure you check in and like, share, and comment. Okay, and our grand prize, dun, 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 you're gonna love this. These are mandala stencils. They are so pretty. We're going to be doing a project with these soon. Isn't that lovely? I think this is my favorite. So we're giving away a set of 3 today at noon, and then tonight in the recast, where you can ask live questions then too at 9 on Facebook. If you're catching us on YouTube, then go to our Facebook page on Tuesdays, and you can sign up there. And if you're on Facebook and you want to watch videos later, go to our YouTube channel and click the subscribe button so that you can get reminded. Oh, and the little bell will remind you when we have new content. Okay, first I want to talk to you about a little bit of organization. When you start getting tools, and I'm calling these stencil tools, when you start getting stencil tools, you have to be able to keep them organized so that you can find them. It's very difficult to find a stencil in a big stack. So what I did is I used this, I always forget what it's called, a binding ring punch. And the way that works, I've got this stack in purple. If you can see, nope, because I've got everything pulled over, hang on. You can see that kind of shaped hole. It looks like a push pin. Okay, so that's the kind of hole that it does. And then you just snap these little guys right on in there. And what's neat is they don't fall out. And that's quite a bit of weight on there. And if you need, so you can just make a little book of your stencils. Is that not fabulous? Okay, so you just can flip the pages. You can do them by type. And then you could, if you wanted to, you could stack them so that you can tell the orange, you could color code them. And I got this giant box of color coding. Yes, this is fabulous. So you can do all kinds of color. I got these in bulk from Amazon. Speaking of Amazon, we do have affiliate links below. So that's just so that you can find things more easily. And the punch is there. Oh, let me show you how to punch it. I think that's important. I would never have believed that these little rings would hold like Mylar together. Do not try to do 2 sheets of Mylar. It did not like it. I definitely pushed its little parameters. So I'm just gonna line this up evenly. This doesn't work with the tiny stencils as much. You could put like 1 punch on it. There's not a lot of room around the little stencils. So after you get past like 6 by 6, maybe even 8 by 8, then you can use these rings on that or the punch on that, unless you just happen to have a lot. So I just kind of evenly spaced that, pushed it in, and then you just push. And then you can just feed it on in there. And it just pops right, oh, I want to show you taking it off is cool. So they just pop on. This is so cool for journals. This is what this started as, journaling stuff. Now watch this when I take this out. This is just the coolest thing. Okay, so let me find my page. Okay, so you just go bloop, bloop, bloop. Hang on. Ta-da! And then you can just pop it back in. I love it. Okay, so that is an organization system. These rings, when you need to paint round, I actually did one of the samples over here, hand painting the round using just a traced line. I've been painting 30 years. I know how to paint. I know how to control a brush. I know how to do all this stuff, and my lines were very wonky. So you want a tool that can paint your round for you. All right, so we're going to talk about this project for a hot second. This is in our personalization. Oh, let me get rid of these. This is in our personalization area of our Stencil website, or on our Stencil website. So this, you can personalize your state, you can personalize your city, and you can personalize your zip code. Okay, so, and then we added an embellishment stencil behind that. We have different states, and we have, I'm going to show you the dog paws. This is a used dog paw, but if you had like a team and you wanted to put a paw print back there, it would be super cute. So don't forget about the middle of your stencil project, because you can embellish. You could do a pattern stencil all over it. There's so many ways you could go. Also, this would be a really good stencil for using the parts of things. You've got made in Gallipolis. You've got your different, that's how you say our town, Gallipolis. So I think this is a neat kind of concept to be able to give gifts. If you're thinking about your college graduate, you could go ahead and do I think I'm off center here. You could do where they went to college on this sign. You can do these in different sizes. It would be a great wedding gift. It would be great for dad's den or on a collage wall. It'd be super. Okay, so we're gonna start with an oval glaze brush, and we are going to go ahead and do streaks back and forth with some colors. And let's see, we're gonna wet it first with our base color, which is just a kind of a medium gray. So everybody tell us where you're from. Tell us in the chat. I'm actually gonna switch to a foam brush. I lied. Do it with that silly oval glaze. Okay, so we're gonna pick up our paint, and we're going to go ahead with straight strokes. If you're painting and you're painting something like this is a little bit of a larger project, stand up to do this part, because it's harder to get a straight line. If you're sitting, you tend to be kind of squinched in a little bit. So you want to stand up to get a good stroke. Okay, so I'm standing up, just going to get it wet with this color, because this technique that I'm going to show you is a wet in wet technique. Okay, so we have to have wet to do wet and wet. Our brush is going to be wet, not wet with water, but wet with paint. And then we're doing this on this black mat. That's one of those links down below. This is a pretty neat thing because it's so big. I like that it protects so much of your workspace. I haven't found the need to, I haven't made messes outside. This is like previous messes. But yeah, so it really does protect. It's pretty easy to clean. spritz it with this Zep cleaner. And then I've been using the same foamy cleaner over and over. I haven't had to change that or anything. I don't use the scrubby side. I just use the spongy side. Okay, so you can use a wet and wet technique with any kind of, any project. If you're doing a beachy background, you could do a couple of different colors. And it just makes a nice, really gentle texture. I love texture in the background. Just kind of a texture groupie, texture fan. Okay, so now we're gonna go into our black greeny color. It's almost black, but not quite. Squishy, squishy. These are honey bottles. We use acrylic paint. We get a lot of questions about that. We're just using whatever acrylic paint you have. And then we're going to, so I don't know if you caught that, it was off camera. I've got just a dirty brush. My gray's in my brush, and I just picked that up and kind of wiggled that in there. And now I'm going to just streak. Now, what if you get like a big old, hey, I can't make it do it. If you get a big old base coat, this is kind of strong. If you just keep moving over the top of it, you'll find that you will, it will just keep moving the paint and you'll blend it right nicely. Right nicely. Okay, pick up some more. It's important that you move quickly. If you find that you're drying too quickly, we've got new spritzy bottles. You can give your project just a little bit of a spritz, and that'll keep things a little bit moist. Really nice with the rubbing alcohol to fill one. We've been testing it to make sure that the alcohol doesn't eat the plastic, and it's been good. Also, a spritz bottle. We've been showing you the click erasers for fixing problems. The spritzing it with water is also a really good trick, and I'll be showing you that in the future. It's hard to find a good spritz bottle. Some of them spray a gallon of blobs. It's amazing what problems you find as a painter. Okay, so now when we get up to the top, I'm gonna make sure to just catch that edge, and I'll just kind of go ahead and thread the edge there with some paint, and then start pulling it down to blend it. And now you can see I've got some marks right there, but I'm gonna go back into my gray, and I'm just gonna go back up and blend. Very much like a blending brush for your blush or any of that makeup stuff. So it's very makeup friendly. If you think about makeup that way, I really think of makeup as friendly myself. Okay, so now I've got a little bit of a area here. I never like to paint upside down. I can. I don't like to. It's very awkward. So go up here, give ourselves a little eyebrow. Okay, so tell us how or what is on your painting table today. I have been painting these stamps for what seems like weeks. My son Chris, who works with me, has also been painting stamps. We have a lot of painters here, so it's actually really fun to paint in a group like that, and hopefully we all can get back to that because you get so many ideas. Okay, now we're gonna take our neutral gray. This is a really almost taupey gray. When you set it down next to here, there's almost like a pink cast to it. So that is, and this is, okay, so this color is super neutral. Then this color we go into like a warm, and then this color's got like a tanny, warmish, whatever. So by mixing all three of them, it keeps it from being too it's farmhouse, but without being boring farmhouse. You know, just the gray thing that you base one color of gray. This, I think, makes it a little bit more interesting. So, and you see that I'm smashing my brush on the palette. And speaking of palettes, we did a little math here. We did the math for the palette paper. Per sheet, you're spending 21 cents a sheet. But when you need big blending spaces, invaluable. Per paper plate, the kind that we do, we buy the ones with the coating on it. Those are about 7 cents. So there's a price savings for using paper plates, but the paper plate does get in your way. So if you're using the palette paper when you need it, then that's a really good time to use it. All right, so now we're gonna streak with this kind of funny taupey gray. And I've got my next step done. Sometimes you'll find when you're just drying up, it'll start grabbing. But how we solve that is we go back and forth between the colors. And we just keep going until we like it. We paint it until it's pretty. And then you can run the risk, watch this. I'm doing it over here, so I'm gonna show you intentionally. So I'm over blending, okay? So watch, I'm staying in one spot, and if I stay in that one spot, then I'm basically surface blending, okay? So now what happens if I do that? Like I didn't like that, so I overdid it. What do I do? So I can go backwards a step, bring in my black greeny color, and spit out some more black greeny color. Make sure you're liking, sharing, and commenting. There is so many cool things to learn today. I literally, as we're making our calendar and stuff like that, we try to use these lives for the education of it. So I don't want it to just be like I painted this one project and you can only just do it one way. I want it to be like you are a better painter today. You're a better stencil fan because you learned how to, not bleed under your stencil or whatever. So if you guys like that about this, let us know. Like, put your hand up in the chat. And if you like that, make sure that you share it with any painting groups that you have because you're allowed to share the videos. We do this as free content. It's just for you. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back. Now I've blended and now I've got my black back on there. I'm gonna go back into that funny taupey color and see now if I just stay out of it and don't overblend. Ta-da! Now, the other thing that we can do is like I've got a couple imperfections here, up here, but I'm going to go to this 60 grit sandpaper. So when I go to the 60 grit sandpaper, that's gonna streak through everything and it'll blend everything nicely. Okay, so one brush down. Make sure you get the poly foam brushes. They're the ones that it's not the floppy, it has good like resistance to pressure. So it does a good blend. When I was first introduced to foam brushes, because I'm a foam brush snob, I didn't want to use one at all for any reason. I was like, I had really crappy foam brushes. And the girl that showed me, Michelle, here in Ohio, she was like doing this great antiquing and distressing on the edge using the foam. And I was like, well, that's not even possible with a foam brush. She handed me her brush and I was like, oh, I see. I didn't have a good foam brush. So there is a difference in foam brushes. I'm gonna set this aside and bring up our dry one, but I wanna show you some fun other palettes. Okay, so this is just so great for gifts. I just can't say enough. The personalized stuff. So you can buy anything in a big box everywhere, right? You can get it from Target or whatever. I'm not picking on Target, that's fine. But you can get things that everybody has anywhere, but you can't get the thing that says your name, or you can't get the thing that says like where you were born. You can't get that. From my husband's Christmas present this year, I did the places that we lived as a gift and painted a big old long sign in a really modern whatever. And he loved it, like he really did. And so I think that I think if you're gonna paint to give as gifts, I think you can't get personal enough. You do their paint colors for their house, you can do their style. If they like it prim, you can do that. If you like this, you can do that. So anyway, you totally can't go wrong personalizing. So we're gonna show you some colors. And, okay, so I'm gonna show, I don't know that I should do, I'm gonna show this one second. We're in Ohio. Do we have, oh, I have to do this one first. Okay, Michigan fans. We are from Ohio, but I have nothing against Michigan. Anyway, so how cool if you painted this in your team colors, or your college colors, or, whatever like that. So this is, you can personalize, personalize, and personalize. So cool. And I love how this was painted. Don't you love that? So that's using black, then gray on top. And then I'm using my streaks going up and down. These streaks are going across. So super neat. I feminized this one with a little bit of teal and then did the wood grain in the background. Okay, and you can't see it very well, but I used the spritzer bottle to distress that wood grain like in the Dirty Cowboy treatment, just to get that wood grain back there looking like that. Okay, then we painted it on a square. Here's Kentucky. And we left out the circle on the outside. So super cool. Oh, I'm supposed to tell you the things. This is PRST 5717, and it'll be in the links below, so I won't go backwards. If I remember, I want to show you how to do this highlight through the middle of the lettering, because I think that just looks so amazing. This is probably my favorite painted sample because I just love these colors together. So just so amazing. Like you can really personalize your colors. Look for good examples on like Pinterest or on our website. Okay, and then this is an example of one that is for West Virginia. This is in a school that is just right across the river. So how cool that you can have your school colors, and that would be great for like a teenage son. And last one, Indiana. So I've got all of the states surrounding us. So we've got Indianapolis. We're about 4 hours from Indy. And so we've got that. And then I've got one more I'm going to show you now because I think it's so cool. We made coasters. Aren't they the cutest little things? So we did these with Ohio, a school in Columbus that's from Ohio, colors, and we can say OH, right? And you guys know what to fill in after that. Anyway, but we did these in these colors, and this is PRST 5735. But just to show you, we could do these in all different colors, and you can make it totally a gift. And we have this little coaster stand as well. And watch how cute this is. Ah, it's adorable. All right, I love it. It's like my favorite. I have these coasters at my house. I've been testing them for like 3 years, and they have been baptized by dogs and babies and all the things. And they stand up. They're amazing. They look like they're brand new, and I definitely have not treated them like that. Okay, ready to move on. Liking, sharing, and commenting. And I've got my 60 grit sandpaper on this wonderful sanding grip. And I'm gonna turn this so I can go straight and not run into my body. This is one of those, we've got our tumblers here with our R12 Live, and on here we've got all of our hashtags. And one of these, this one right here was from one of you guys. Sanding is my cardio. I just crack up every time I'm sanding. I'm like, this is my cardio. So just dig into it. If you're not moving it just with your arm and you actually lean on it, it makes it less hard on your shoulder. So you just kind of lean in and give it a push. This is nice and heavy. One of these days we'll weigh it and let you know. But it makes such a big difference. I only sand with the little scraps when I have to get in and get tight detail. Always love a sanding block. And it does make a difference. Don't get a plasticky one. This one is like, it's almost like weighted with like sand or something. I don't know. One of these days, maybe we should take one of these apart. Okay, so you see what I'm getting? I'm getting all this striations here. That's giving me a nice streaky look. Okay, and we will dig in a little bit more. I really do like grunge. You want to keep your lines as straight as you can. I've got one that's a little bent. What happens if you bend? You would take out a dry foamy brush, go into your colors, streak it to erase it, blend it in, sand it again, you're good. So paint is your best eraser. That's also on the back of there. We have like things that we say over and over again. All right, now we gonna get our stencil. I can't begin to tell you how hard this would be to paint freehand. It's filled with circles. It's a lot of circles. Okay, so one of the most important things to do, brush off your dust. Okay, is to get it straight. So we want to, the state name is actually a little bit at an angle. So I want it straight with my streaks. So I'm gonna make sure. Get that there. Okay. I'm looking for edges all the way around. My surface is a micron bigger than the other part, so I'm getting just a teeny bit of futz with it. So that's fine, but you just want to get it nice and centered. I'm going to use my triple threat Ghostwriter. This has got three leads. It had, well, 2 leads and a tool. So it has a white soapstone, a gray soapstone, and a rollerball stylus, and it has a eraser on the back side. I probably used this tool for a while before I realized there was an eraser back there. So I'm going to use my white lead, and I'm going to make my line around my stencil bit. Follow it along. This eraser, ooh, it squeaks too. So this erases with spit, water, your eraser. Okay, so it erases, it's super friendly. You can write on chalkboards with this. Super nice to have a really fine chalk pencil. Now I'm gonna get out my tool over here. Got the one that I've taped. So just whip that puppy out of there. Isn't that cool? That makes me super, super sassy happy. Okay, there's a couple ways that you can use this tool. Okay, now these are not, just so that we're clear, these don't come with these, you have to punch them yourself. We've talked about laser cutting those and putting them on our stencils. Let us know what you think in the chat, because that might be kind of a cool idea. I'm worried that the technology will change and do weird things, but I don't know. I think it's neat. Okay, so this has a tool that is a centering tool. Just pop that out. And what you can do with this is you can, it has a crosshair on it. So you can line up your crosshair and you can get a pin dot centering tool. I need tape. There it is. So you can tape it down. I'm gonna get my glasses on and get in there a little bit closer. And then you can take it away. That's what I like about it. But it gives you some really good precision. And I actually think, I'm gonna show you how to tape it on, but I'm gonna take it back off because you can see through it really well, and I don't think you're gonna be able to tell what I'm doing if I don't take it away. So, but now I can use a pin. I can put it in my project if I have, MDF is harder to pin into, but you can at least center with precision. So that is how you do that. And then don't lose this because it's handy. And you could just tape it back on the stencil. I found the one that lined up with my band. And then that's the one that I'm going to use as the one over. And I taped this off so I wouldn't make a mess. The way that I found my center, if you wanted to just use bands and not a stencil, so you could cobble this together using an Ohio word, an Ohio state, and then this banding stencil. So you could make your own effect like this. Clocks are great for this. So if you're making something, this would make a pretty cool clock. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if you did numbers out here instead of this made in, would that not be the best gift? Golly. Okay, so the way you find the center is you're gonna put your T-square centered, sort of straight, and you're gonna go to, you gotta do it where you're gonna mark where you think the center is. And that should measure the size of your board, so that's 18 inches. And then you're gonna go the other way and get it where it's 18 inches. That's how you measure as you go. Okay, and then where those lines intersect, there's my center. Okay. Now you don't have to find the center just to use this with that stencil, but I just wanted to show you that. That was something that I had to do this week and I had to figure it out. So what I can do with this is I can lay this right where my center is. Okay. And actually I'm gonna match it to that line. Okay. And then we are going to stencil with what color? I'm gonna probably use 2 colors, a little bit of white. Okay, so we're gonna kind of brushy blend 2 colors. Let me use the new brushes. The ones that have been hard to get are the big ones. You can get these in sets. These are about, for a set, for, I don't know, they're a couple dollars cheaper. So they really are a cheaper experience, but we're gonna pick up 2 colors. I'm gonna have to realign my stencil, ignore me. And we're gonna use it the same way. We're gonna brush off everything. So we're using this dry brush, dry paper towel, dry paint, no water in anything. That's why you need so many of these, is if you're gonna change colors, you have to have more than one. And I really think maybe the number 20, 25 is probably a good number in a varying bunch of sizes. I use more big than small, but that's just me. Okay, so I'm going down here. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get an even band all the way around. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to stencil on my band. And the reason we're doing this is because I'm going to base coat the middle. Okay, so just go ahead and just kind of scumble it, because this will band it in the end. I'm giving myself a boundary. It all will become clear in just a minute. So if I was doing this, I'm going to show you how terribly it is to actually paint. Isn't this the coolest thing, that you can just do banding in a circle so easily? Like, share if you like this. Like, put a little heart or something in there, little emojis. Okay, gonna keep going around. There's that noise. Okay, so make sure that if you're liking what we're doing, that you're going to YouTube and review products if you don't mind. That is the hardest thing. You would not believe, like on Amazon or on our website, all those things, the percentage is like 10% of people actually review products. And that means it's really difficult for small businesses like us to get reviews, because our numbers are not like what like car dealers are. So like, please review. That would be super helpful as you're buying things. Okay, we're gonna keep going. And connect our dots. Yeah, interacting with brands is, I think, one of the nicest things a consumer can do. You know, giving us feedback on social media, all of that. Let me show you how hard it is to base with a regular. Did you see how great that brush worked, by the way? It's a new brush. It did it exactly like the other one. It actually didn't shed very much at all. I'm gonna get out this oval glaze. This one has been used quite a bit, but these are magical brushes. I'm gonna show you basing over here on this curve. Gonna get my blended color. Just kind of brush mixing. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here. With these brushes, this splays out really big. Like, it starts out really little and then it goes really big. So that's what I like to do when I'm gonna base on a big area. And so I will creep up on it. I'll kind of push my brush, and then I'll run the edge of the brush as close as I can. And then I'm out of the line, and then I'm back in the line. I've got flat areas, I've got in areas. It's tough. Okay, so this is like the hard way to do it. I don't like doing it. Even when I tape it, so you can use the stretchy tape, it's just like a lot of work. So I don't like to work hard when I'm painting. How many of you, put your hand up in the chat, you don't like to work hard when you're painting? Like it's supposed to be fun, dang it. Okay, so with stretchy tape, what you can do is you can go on the side of your line, and then you can just make it follow the line. And this actually, so I'm gonna reach over, I'm going on the wrong line. Gotta go to the inside. So even with that, see how it's a little bit warbly? It's not as good as the stencil. The stencil's pretty darn straight. So those are 3 ways that you can do that. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish this line and let me blow dry. Oh my. Welcome to Studio R12, where you can have a circus and a painting party. Oh my. I'm always trying to do 2 or 3 things at once, and I know better, but I do it anyway. How many of you do the same thing? Like, am I alone? Am I the only one? Oh gosh. Okay. I'm gonna flip it over so I can tell what I'm doing. So we'll straighten him up. I don't actually need to straighten him up. I just need to continue this line over here. I'm gonna go with my band. Okay, so the whole goal with this, because you're like probably looking at me like, why are you doing that? The whole goal is I want this stencil band to mask my base coating. So I want the middle to be base coated, and I want the stencil band to meet it. So by putting this here, I give myself a grace place. Sorry about this bit. Grace place. So I'm literally giving myself a place to get a little bit messy, because then when I take my stencil and I put it on top, it's gonna band that perfectly. So I don't have to be a perfect circle painter. Isn't that amazing? So we're gonna go back to our brush, and then I'm going to base that. So we wanna just kind of give it some streaks. These brushes, if you do not have one, I can recommend them. They will not base coat, they won't do your stenciling for you, but they are incredible for every kind of varnishing. I use them to trim out my house when I paint my house. They last for a million years. I don't think I've thrown one away except for here when people don't take care of them. They start out a little bit smaller, like this size, and then that's when they get full of paint. Okay, so now here's my gray space. I'm not gonna worry too much about going in straight lines because I'm gonna sand in my texture. So I'm just gonna get out there, give myself a place to be sloppy. So how cool is this? If you haven't tried to paint a circle, I don't know that you'll appreciate this. Go ahead, try to base a circle. You will instantly appreciate what I'm doing here. And these banding stencils will last you the rest of your painting years. You can wash our stencils, they're reusable. If you haven't been to our website, it's studior12.com. And if you haven't subscribed to YouTube, now's your opportunity. Get on over there. Okay, so I'm gonna give myself that space right there. Okay. And you can play the game if you're trying to just base coat. You can go back and forth with like patch paint and try to patch it. It's just really tough. This is 30 years of experience right here. I'm not worried about these streaks and scratches and all of that stuff. This brush goes in the water. It can stand on its head for a little while, but I wouldn't leave it in there for days. So you want to only the scumbly brushes. I'm going to actually, let me show you how to do the highlight through the letters. I'm going to show you Pennsylvania, and then I'm going to do it with Indiana. So we don't make them, we have these wonderful skinny stipplers. So they're really narrow and they're super domed. Dome is so important. That's why The dome brushes work so much better. If you're in the chat, go ahead and tell people how great the dome brushes are. You will stop bleeding under your stencils. But these little guys are skinny and they're domed and they're super bristly, just like these, super stiff and short. So what these are good for is if we're gonna go into Indiana and we're going to highlight that, I'll pick on this, I'll pick a little mixy poo there. Gotta call it a mixy poo, right? Gonna go on this and we're going to rub off just exactly like we're gonna stencil. Need it lighter. Rub, 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 rub. Okay? And then right through the middle of your letters, you can just take your brush and go scrapey, scrapey up and down. And you just fade it. You don't, I'm gonna do it wrong so that you can see. I wouldn't go strong, strong like that. You wanna sneak up on it. Okay? Ooh, that's a good place to show you water. Yep. Come on, little guy. And you can just get that paint right out of there. Super great way to fix painting errors. Okay, all of that is gone. So we've got our paint. Go over here. So we sneak up on it, scratchy, scratchy. Come over here in the same line, going through the middle, scratchy, scratchy. And let it fade down. And then you can pick up a little bit more, stronger. And then you can go like almost like you're building a pyramid. Okay? So you can just build that right through the middle. Super, super, super easy to do. Adds so much jazz to your projects. That Pennsylvania would not look near as good if it was just flat painted. So that's a really good technique to put in your arsenal. All right, let's get rid of Indiana. Actually, I'm going to take that paint off so that we can take our pictures. You can also use a wet PVC eraser to get your paint off. That takes paint that's dried about 5 minutes, like freshly dried paint. Takes that off when you have a stubborn spot. Oops. So these are fabulous. They're just PVC click erasers, and you can use them for pencil lead and all of that stuff too. They're like a magic tool. Okay, I've talked this almost dry. I'm still gonna have to blow dry. Let me do that real quick. When you're blow drying, if you're cold, then you're still wet. So this part is definitely just normal room temperature, and this part is cold. And so let me get that dry. All right, guys, we also have another little surprise. We have finished the aprons. Ta-da! We played around with the logo. We played around with placement. We played around with the textures. We didn't like the cotton ones. We really like this, whatever this chemical material is called. We like the 2 pockets because you can fit your brushes in them and have your stuff on hand. And we like that they come in colors. Purple and turquoise and all kinds of colors. So you guys want to check that out. Now we're going to take, and by the way, please wear an apron. I have taught painting classes and workshops all over North America, literally, and on cruise ships. I've been everywhere, done it all. Every time somebody thinks they're too good for an apron, they put all kinds of paint on their clothes. So just wear the apron, then you won't get paint on your nice clothes. Okay, so we're gonna take our 60 grit and we're gonna go through our white. Oop. It's a little bit grabby, which means it's still a little tacky. If I add more texture here, I can put more back. So don't worry about that. And by the way, I use the dome brush to paint this circle because you can paint with the foam brushes and get sort of close. You can't control the edge. you're gonna leave a gunky bunch of paint using a foam brush to paint a good line. So you wanna use this guy. Let me show you really quick because I think that's an important piece of information. I'm trying to figure out how to show you. I'll paint back on here. So I'm gonna go over here, you load your brush, and I kind of tend to load it into the bristles of my brush. I'm trying to work it actually in. I really don't want to paint on this beyond here. There we go. Okay, so if you flatten this brush out, I don't know if you can get a close-up right there. It's so flat at the edge. Once again, I'll show you this with this brush. It's how the brush is cut. Okay, so as I'm going, I can get like a precise line right there. Okay, and let me show you on it with a dry one. Okay. Also, so this is like not very well taken care of. This makes me sad. A little heart is just like, don't beat up the brushes. Okay, so what we have is thick here, and then it tapers. So they've given it like, you know, where you thin your hair out, and then it's also domed. So, but it's super, super soft and flexible. So that's how it splays out like that. But it's so, like it's almost arrow thin there on the tip. So that's why this brush works so good for doing a circle shape. All right. Let's get to sanding. Sanding is my cardio, right? How many of you wear aprons? I'm curious about that. I'm curious about a lot of stuff. Have you noticed that? All right, if I need to get more even sanding, I can turn it over. I tend to be a heavier sander on the push than the pull. So if you know that about yourself, then you can just turn it when it's time to do the other side. All right, and then, really neat, instead of just stenciling technique or stenciling your details, I can turn my piece sideways and get a cross-hatching effect. Isn't that cool? Like you don't think of sanders as like a paintbrush, but that's kind of what it is right now. Oops, it's giving me nice texture and almost like a plaid effect or like a burlap. When you're doing textures on your painted projects, it is like the subtle things that count. It makes your project deeper. So you can add a little texture here and you can add a little hidden something here. And then when your eye is looking at it, you're not gonna see flat. It's gonna look really kind of interesting. Now what I've done in the meantime is I've now given myself cross-hatching marks out here on the perimeter, but that's super easy. I'm gonna go right back over it and it'll erase it. And since I have the cross-hatching on here, you won't notice it. Okay. Good. All right. Cardio. And stencil. We're gonna lay this out. Aren't the backgrounds the best? I really, 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 really enjoy painting backgrounds. I think you can tell. Get this up straight. I'm always the worst at lining things up though. Don't judge. Okay, we're gonna call that lined up. Gonna get some tape. You should mostly tape your projects. I tend to not do them when I'm doing them by myself, but the minute you think all arrogant, then things slip and then you're like, so it's easier just to tape them. You wanna tape them in 2 spots. If you tape it just in 1 spot, if I can get that lifted up, then you get a lot of play. If you tape it in 2 spots, make sure I'm lined up. then you don't get any play. So if I can get under it. So now you're secure. So we are going to do the Gallipolis and the zip code. We're going to do the outer stuff, and then I'll show you how to do the state and add an embellished stencil, an embellishment stencil. We're going to get our dome, and I'm going to do a light color, a lightish, whitish color. Love using stencils. Oh, I'm doing my band first, not the word. Be careful. You notice right there, I was going sideways and I wasn't swirling, and I've got, like, I saw it catching and gunking up. If you just go this way, it's super easy to make a big ridge right there. So you want to still swirl. If you're going to go over your letters and you don't want ghosting, I found the best secret today. Okay, so you can use a piece of Mylar, and I was using a stencil to do this, but I think this round will be perfect. It just can live right next to where you're at, and you can carry it along. It's a little magic thing. It's so cool. I don't know why it works better than paper, but it does. Okay, so we'll get that done. I don't think I'm going to show you the repeat of everything. I want to show you this middle piece, so let me get this band done. And let me use my magic piece of Mylar. Yeah, that's right there. That's worth the price of admission today. I don't know if you deal with ghosting, but I do it all the time. I tend to move bigger, but whoops. I don't think I need ghost. I don't need it with the tape. Okay, finish it up. All right, and now we're going to do the Gallipolis in a gray. So I'm just going to use a gray with a little bit. I'm just kind of brush mixing between these three colors. I want to make sure I show up, so I might have to dig into that darker gray a little bit more. Swirl, swirl. That's going to be too light. I'm going to have to pick up a little bit of the black. And then watch this. I can brush mix on my piece of paper towel. So you don't have to, I can wipe it, I can mix it into this wet, like this is actually pretty wet. So I can mix it into a wet pile and make a little hint color. Okay, so now we'll go, and that's good. Yeah, that's showing up. Contrast is very interesting. They say the most beautiful way to paint with contrast is 2 value levels. And if you don't know about values, it just means like if a color is too close to the other color, it's hard to see a difference between the colors. So if you skip a value, then it's like 2 shades darker or 2 shades lighter. That's like the sweet spot of painting. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do this one because the placement of my state is important. Okay, so now I've got the upper band, I've got that. This is the same as the other, and this is the same as the other, so I can give you a little hint of this up here. My color's out, so I'm not gonna. All right, now I'm gonna take this off, flip it over. And now that I have my words placed, I can take my state, OH, and we can lay it down. And I'm just gonna kind of center it. Now I want my streaks to go straight with my edge of my straight state there. I'm gonna slightly cover over 2 of the details. I could recover them over with the stencil after I do it, but I don't need to. I think it's fine to have them layered like that. So this is where if you were gonna do the dog prints or a lighthouse or whatever is famous in your state or at your school, you could put that right there instead and you can run a name. You could run your last name through it. There's so many ways that you can personalize your stenciling and just make it like really magical. I'm gonna get that a little bit straighter. Yeesh. Okay, remember to like, share, and comment. Use my tape. Get that there. Taping on fresh paint is sometimes a challenge, so be careful with that. Part of the reason that I use so many brushes is because, like, when I'm talking to you and I put it in water and then I'm doing a thing, I don't think that people that are painting at home would need quite as many brushes as we do, but we have probably got 1,000 brushes, so we have a lot of brushes. All right, the state is a light gray, and I'm gonna do a dirty light gray. So 2 colors, that kind of tannish gray and then the other one. And then we're gonna hold this guy down. He's real big, so he'll wanna move a little bit. I'm not sure why my state just became a guy, but not dark enough. All right. And not dark enough still. So it's really interesting. This has a color to it, and so I'm thinking that it's reading white, and it's actually reading a nice medium gray. It's just mixed with white. So that's why I'm struggling right here, but it's fine to mess around with it until you get the color you want. Swirling is better on a big piece. Watch what happens if I don't swirl on this. You're gonna kind of laugh. It's something that I used to do all the time. So if I try to stipple, I have to make sure I'm moving wet and wet over and over. But if I let that dry, it will be a giant polka dot. So you don't want that. So I can go over here, just swirl it softened, and then I can blend it. Now, if you dig a hole, like say if I go back here and I keep painting right there, it can pull paint away. I call it digging a hole. Let it dry, blow dry it, and then go back, and then you have to stipple. If you don't stipple when you do that, the swirling will be blending on top of your hole, and it won't work. So, in a big hole, you always have to use the swirl. You can also use a roller, but the roller would get unwieldy with this smaller margins right there. You could tape it. So we just keep going and going until we get that done. You could do this in a color. You could do this in red. We've done it in so many. We're in Ohio, and we have so many fans for Ohio State and Ohio University that we've painted a million signs with states and things on them with the colors. That is a great, if you're selling, you can't do their logo, you can't do their exact thing, you can't name them, you can't do some of those things, but people get it. Like if you say your favorite football team or your favorite whatever team and Ohio and things like that, you can get around that with using some not branded words. But they're great gifts and they make great sellers. And when people are buying stuff for dads, oh my gosh, is like dad the hardest person in the universe to shop for? So you can paint for him, husbands or dads, that kind of thing. Men, just tough to buy for. Not bashing, I'm just saying. Okay, so get that even. Now, what are we gonna do? If we have, can anybody guess what we're gonna do to get that texture even? Can you say it in the chat? Predicting, dun, dun, dun. Let's see if you're right in just a second. Okay, so we try to brush it even, but you can see I'm a little bit splotchy. And this technique is not very over the top bold. So I just take this off and there's my state. And guess what we're gonna do? Dun, 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 sanding. So just go right through that, soften it and even it. Don't want it screaming at me. If I get too crazy with my sanding, I can go back with my stencil and put it right back on. So now we'll flip this guy back over. We're getting about to the end here, so if you haven't entered, the prizes are the mandala sets. And it's a 3-piece set, that's the grand prize. That will be today at this live, and then tonight in the recast at 9. And that's Eastern time. And we're giving away 2 sets of brushes for both lives. Okay, and let's get that lined up and tape it down. And now we'll do the Ohio in a dark color. And we'll go right over the top. We're gonna just use that kind of black green. I hope that you have enjoyed this. There's so much to learn with stenciling. With paint techniques, like the world is like unlimited. It's so amazing. All right, so we're gonna go right over the top. Tell us what your favorite thing that you learned today was. We have so many plans to show you all the things. So when I'm doing big letters, I tend to hold them down so they don't shift. And then because it's such a big space, I'm gonna always swirl. And I'm gonna have to do a couple coats. Let me get 2 coats on that. If you are using a flat brush, it makes it extraordinarily difficult to swirl. And the way that it splays the bristles out when you push on it automatically makes you a bigger risk to push your paint under your stencil. This is like the best way not to bleed under your stencil, is to swirl and use a dome brush. Okay, so 1 coat. And coat number 2 should do it. So Stencils is a layers game. And that means that if you don't try to push it, I could go in, watch this, I could go in and I could stipple this and get it right there. But if I'm using heavy paint that's gonna base coat right away, I'm gonna have to wait for it to dry. I'm going to have to clean up my bleeded messes because it's gonna bleed under. It happens to me. You've seen it happen to me. Like I'm 30-year professional here, and it still happens. I get in a hurry, I try to get fast, and then I have the bleeding mistakes. So do the layers game, do soft paint. It'll be dry by the time you get to the end. You don't waste your time doing other stuff. This is easier on your shoulder, on your elbow, on your wrist. You don't get that fatigue from hitting the surface. It does get your aggression out though. All right, so I'm not gonna paint the rest of it that color. We'll show ya. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so now we've got our O in front of the thing. I'm gonna bring my painted finish sample back over here. So this is the effect that we are doing. We learned how to do the banding with our banding stencil set. And we learned about baking coasters. Although we didn't really learn about them, but I want to show you again, aren't they cute? I hope you guys had a good time. We will see you next week on Tuesday at either 12 or 9 and see you on YouTube. Thanks so much.